Church talk with the T. Okay, y'all. So, I pop in and out, okay? But I try to leave something that's going to encourage you, that's going to make you think, that's going to make you laugh, that's going to move you along, right? And hopefully help you in your journey, in your life, right? So the topic for today is America is mentally ill. Okay, y'all can fight me on this if y'all want to. Okay, so if you don't know, I have been on a 21 challenge of No Strife, right? I've been declaring my piece, and I am with a group called the Women of Power on Facebook. It's a private group, so if any ladies would like to join, you can do so. Okay, follow me on Tracy Garwood on Facebook, and or you can request to join the not the mental, but the Women of Power mentoring group. Okay, so America is mentally ill. Let's just cut to the chase. And you may say, Tracy, tell me why. Why? Okay. First of all, look around you. All right. And nobody wants to claim having anything to do with mental health, right? Especially if you have some type of disorder, that's nothing to be proud of. But let me tell you something. Hey, whoever it is, we are surrounded in a culture that is mentally ill. All right? Because if you voted for this current administration, and this is no shame to my game, this is no shame. This current administration is something different. It's something different than we all seen. I mean, you have a president that is, constantly pushing the executive order button. Okay, so you mean to tell me every decision is going to be an executive order, right? So we're not thinking things through. And I say we're because we're all in this together, whether we like it or not, right? We're not thinking things through. We have sporadic decisions, right? I mean, just look at social media, and I'm including myself in this, arena. Yeah, we're suffering from mental illness. I mean, the leadership, for one, right? We have a person that we didn't elect in, the cabinet, and he is making the majority of the decisions, in my opinion, right? Okay, we have a food phobia, right? We can't eat nothing. All our food is banned everywhere else. Okay, so everything is at a loss, right? We can't eat nothing. There's something wrong with everything that we eat. We can't eat zero sugar. The sugar is, they're putting sugar. We don't even know how our food is made, right? Everybody is trying to make a coin by cutting the cost in the food that we digest. And if that's not mentally ill, I don't know what is. Okay? Everybody is on drugs. Now, we used to, ship the drug dealers off, okay, and got rid of them. But now, it's legal. All the drugs that put people in jail now is prescription drugs. And they making a killing, baby. They're making a killing, right? The cannabis that has a THC that they say is so good for us. A lot of it is synthetic. And you gonna say, well, how do you know? Because back in the day, weed didn't smell like it smells now, right? I went to Jamaica, and everybody was doing what they do, right? And I smelled the marijuana. I was telling my cousin, I said, now that's real marijuana. What we got in America, well, when we got It's not real. It's synthetic. You don't know what people are putting in. That's why the Bible says you got to bless your food, and this is sanctified by the word of God, because what we're doing now is we're turning on ourselves, right? And every decision is not even in our favor, right? We punish the poor, right? We punish the working class. We get taxed, right, on everything. So we reward the wealth, right? Okay, if more of the percentage, the wealth was distributed evenly, we would live in a great society. But it's not, right? Everything is at a all-time high cost. So what do we do? So like I said, I mean, just think of COVID. When I was looking up something, and I said, what is the percentage of the mentally ill in America? Do you know what they said? 22.8%. I said, the devil is a lie. I don't even believe that. The people that are affected by mental illness is 22.8%. Who did the research on that? Because I don't know if you're familiar, but sometimes we are connected by mentally ill people, which gives us secondary trauma, right? It doesn't affect us directly, but it indirectly affects us. When you go out the doors to go where you don't know who is well and who is not. Because mental illness it goes like this. Your mind can snap at any time. And some of us are a thought away from being mentally ill, right? So we diagnose our own self. We can look on the internet and ask Google, ask GTA, what is this? What are the symptoms? That's the same thing the doctors are doing, right? Only difference is they went to school. They really don't know what's wrong with us because they didn't make this body. And then you got a person, you got a person that is replacing humans. I'm telling you, mental illness. All right. So I mean, just think of COVID. When COVID hit, we were isolated. Everybody was isolated. And then they told us, go back to work, go back. Nobody offered counseling. Nobody offered anything. They just told us to go back to work. None of us ever experienced a pandemic, right? And we were just told to go back to work, to continue as if everything was normal. But and I know that it wasn't. And right now, today, we're feeling the aftermath of a pandemic and the aftermath of synthetic drugs and the aftermath of whatever kind of food that whatever type of food they offering us now. Like I said, we don't know what's in it. We don't know what's organic, and we don't know what's made with chemicals. We don't know what's sprayed with chemicals. All we know is what they tell us, right? Just recently, that with all this tariffs going on, they said that the designers nothing is authentic, right? Nothing is authentic. What they're doing is China is making everything, sending it back to them, and they putting a logo on it and charging you an arm and a leg. But right now, today, people are still going to buy these knockoffs, right? Not even real. And I'm including my own self in it. Make it make sense. If somebody tell you, if somebody playing in your face, You gonna keep letting them play in your face? I had wrote, I seen DDG. He is a live streamer. You know, for some of you that don't know, I keep up with the young people and what they're doing because they are the future. They dictate what's going to happen, right? Whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not. So I follow these streamers, right? So, you know, he talk about his designers and things of that nature. And if you smart, he ain't paying for none of that. He got a brand deal. So what he tells you that it's a cost to what is a cost to us is not a cost to these celebrities, right? And so they getting all these brand deals, and what happens? The kids, they want the working parents to purchase them. Come on, somebody, and we will, right? Because why? We might not want our kids to be bullied. We might want to give our kids things that we didn't have access to, right? It's a vicious circle. Mentally ill. And I had comment on the video because he was talking about buying some girl, some purses or whatever. And I said, made in China. That's what I commented. I'm notorious for commenting. That's why if you look at all my content, I'm commenting right along with y'all, because the people in the comment, they're going to tell you what's real. Okay, they're going to tell you what America is really thinking. The news, they're going to tell you from one person's opinion, from one aspect. But if you look in a comment, they're going to tell you what really happened. If it's a crime, the people that's in that neighborhood going to tell you what really went down, right? So yeah, I commented, I was like, made in China, right? Make it make sense. Hey, Derek, thank you for joining. Yeah, Derek, I'm just calling it like America is mentally ill. And we're in a society where we're scared to ask questions. Some, not all, but some of us are. Because what happens is God will open up your eyes. He'll open up your eyes and let you know really what's going on. But a lot of us are still in the matrix. We still believe that one man is going to make America great. And he's not. He's making America worse. And the people that voted him in is marching. More than the black people was marching when we had civil rights, in the civil rights era, right? So now you see a society that's mentally ill, that some people will continue to support this man. Why? Because of the color of his skin, right? And just the diversity issue, I mean, we could talk about it. Things that just don't make sense. So back to, what I said. I said made in China. So this, the content creator, the one who put the video out, she was saying, no, that's not true because France, some. I said, Lord help her. And this is why African American woman, this is why African Americans are the highest buyers, and we buying, but we not selling. All that designer stuff, and I'm like, God, like I said, I'm including myself too, right? We buy things that we never had access to. Everybody buying Airbnbs, and now the market is open to us because they want us to buy. They don't want us to sell. They want us to buy. And I'm talking about the wealth, right? So now that's what we're doing, because they're, showing us a better way of life. But the things that they're showing us, they're really not doing, right? They're really not doing. So we're buying and not selling and selling, and we're making the rich richer, right? And if Black America would stop buying this crap and start making our own stuff, we would be in a better position. But it's not gonna happen because we're caught up in the matrix as well, right? Because you scrolling, and you know how the algorithm is. Whatever you like, it's going to come right back to you in an overflow. You see something you like, and then what you do, you go to the store and buy it. I'm telling you, it's so demonic. It's so demonic. But if we, as a people, and I'm talking about America as a whole, black, white, red, all of us, if we don't get some type of mental clarity, we're going to get caught up in this world. And we don't know what's coming down the pipes. Because it was told to us that robots are going to take over our job. Right? And you and I are going to get universal wealth, universal income. And I'm like, okay, so that means everybody gonna have the same thing. That's a lie. Hey, Arthur, thank you for joining. How you doing? I'm doing so good. Thank you for joining. I'm just, I'm talking about mental illness as a whole. We're surrounded by people that are not thinking clearly. So you may say, okay, Tracy, what do? It starts with us. It starts with us going on a journey to make sure that we're not giving our mind over to this worldly system, right? That we're not giving our thoughts over to this worldly system, that if we find ourselves in a place that we're not thinking properly, that we somehow gather our thoughts and give our mind over to God. Because at the end of the day, He is our only help. Which brings me to say, this is the third week of our 21 days of peace. And if you just hearing about this, this is our last week. Tomorrow is our last day of the No Strife Challenge. 21 days of peace. So what we're doing is finding a way to deal with problems rather than revert to strife. Cussing out people, arguing with people, fighting battles that don't belong to us, engulfed in our trauma, right? And just business as usual. When are we going to take some accountability for our mental health? Let me tell you something, friend. Your mental health matters. It matters. Because if you're not thinking clearly, you can't make good decisions. Back in the day, Joyce Myers talked about, and I don't know if any of y'all are familiar, but she talked about, she wrote a book about the battlefield of the mind. And I'm telling you, that book changed my life. Now, I'm not a big reader. You know what I'm saying? Because I got some, my mind is always going on. So sometimes it's hard for me. You know how somebody can just, read a book front to cover, put their little, sticker in it, come back to it. My mind does not work like that. Okay. But all in all, she was talking about managing mental illness. She was talking about trauma. And basically, she was just saying not to surrender over to thoughts that are not ours, right? Toxicity. Not to surrender it. You can't run from it, but you can react to it in a better way. Let me tell you why the importance of being able to be at peace so you can have clarity of mind. Most of the people that's in jail is in jail because they didn't allow themselves to process a decision, right? Somebody said, hey, it's a good idea to do this. And they didn't think about it. They didn't sleep on it. They just did it. Excuse me. And and found themselves in jail, right? Maybe they have unalived somebody. I'm telling you, if we are not thinking clearly, we are in a world of trouble. And like I shared this, the first day I went on this No Strife challenge, I cried because I didn't realize the toxicity that I was holding on to. The bitterness, the unforgiveness, things that you hold on to, right? Things that make your blood pressure high. Ain't nothing deep. Because if you are in if your mind is full of toxicity, if you are in a toxic environment and you just going on, there's consequences for that. So, like I said, your mental health matters. Maybe you're going through a period of grief and you can't see the forest from the trees. Let me say this. Your mental health matters. Because the Bible says that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Right? Bible also says there's a season for everything. So what is it going to take for you to get unstuck, out of your season? You got to switch it up. You got to do something different. And it's going to start off, in my opinion, fighting for your peace. Fighting for your peace. Because we can't change the world. The only thing that we can be is responsible for at the end of the day is ourselves. I heard a saying, it says, life is 90% of what happens to you, but 10% of how you react to whatever happens to you. Right? So it's how you're reacting. And like I said, it's toxic people every day. Toxic people filled with strife. Maybe you have an anger problem. I don't know. Maybe you walking in unforgiveness and somehow you can't let it go. But if you continue to do that, it's going to cost you something. And it might just cost you your mental health. How can we serve God in our mind, body, and spirit? And a lot of times people focus on the spirit, but they don't focus on the mind. You got to, we put all these emphasis in being healthy physically, but very rarely do we talk about, managing our mental health. Because the world is not going to do it for you. Like I said, we have went through a whole pandemic with no counseling. And if not, you better help yourself. Being isolated for a year. That's what happens when they throw people in prison. And they come out institutionalized. Because they've been isolated. They've been restricted. It's consequences for that. And I seen this video. This lady, she said, just think of this. Black Americans have been taken from their own land. Some of our ancestors didn't make it. And we were told to work for no wages. Then to be at the bottom of the totem pole. Right? Never offer reparations or mental health. Because you can't tell me then we're people say, oh, okay, that wasn't me back, that was my ancestors, that wasn't me. No, we are a product of our ancestors, our environment, what happened to us, because things carry from from a generational standpoint, right? Our attitudes towards things, the way to eat, the way to communicate, it transcends from generation to generation. You don't escape anything, right? And a lot of times, have you ever heard, kids who never knew their mother and father got the same traits? The chromosomes be real, right? And if you knew a lot about the people that were in your tribe or in your family, it would tell you a lot about you, your mental health, the way you deal with things, your attitude, what type of generational curses is in your family. People. I heard Sukiana say, "Oh, she came from a family of hoes." I said, "What?" She said her mama, her auntie, her grandmama. She said, "What think you gonna be? What makes you think I'm gonna be something different?" It's very true. Like I said, them chromosomes is real. You get what? 23 from your mother, 23 from your father. And it carries on. The bloodline is real. So I say all this to say, you got to go on a journey to make sure that you are managing your mental health. Emotional intelligence is real. If you don't have it, you're going to make childlike decisions. And there's so much information in the world that it's no excuse. It's no excuse for us to be able to at least begin to climb ourselves out of these generational curses. But it's going to take us deciding that, look, I can't live in this toxic relationship no more. I can't keep co-parenting and arguing with my child's mother or father because it's affecting my children, right? I can't continue to make executive decisions like our president is doing. Everything is an executive decision. You ain't processing nothing. Everything is you're not processing. You're not doing no research. Everything, if you think it's a good idea, it's an executive decision. You're not doing the research yourself. But somebody is saying, oh, that's a good idea. This is good. And I'm doing this and doing this. And that's what we're doing. Making decisions and not thinking things through. I'm telling you, even decisions. Sleep on it. Somebody say, hey, let's do this. You have a thought. You may want to tell somebody. Sleep on it. Give it 24 hours. Give it 90 days. Even when you go on a job, you gotta at least get through your 90 days. But we're not allowing ourselves to process anything. And the consequences is mental illness. We won't get help, right? So my encouragement to you, happy Friday. Go on this peace journey. And the way you declare your peace, you got to have a clear mind. And it starts with a relationship with God. And it starts with getting to know yourself and self-care. And doing things that's going to have a you know how they say delayed gratification. Because a lot of times it's short term, just you doing things for now. But what about 10 years ago? What about 10 years ahead? What about 5 years? People think, what's your 5-year plan? Is it to just get money, or is it to have better mental health? Is it to have be a better parent, or be a better person? Things you can't purchase. All right? So I love you all. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for popping on. How is everybody doing? How is your mental health? Have you thought about it? Are you in a situation where you're stuck and you got to start somewhere? Like I said, when I went on this No Strife challenge, we couldn't cuss, complain. And I was just like, okay, at the time I was going through a breakup, right? Off the chain. Everything I thought I wanted to do this person. I said, God was like, don't you do another thing. You got to do something different. And when I went on there, I stopped. I was quiet. He thought I was crazy. I was so peaceful. And right now today, we not at odds, right? If I see him, I'ma speak. If he see me, he gonna speak, right? Because I'm at peace. It doesn't matter what the other person is doing. You gotta mind your own affairs. And it's how are you reacting to the stress that comes in and out of your life? Are you engaging? Sometimes you gotta pull yourself out of things that don't concern you, because everybody has to have a level of problem solving. If you're not a kid, right? We gotta think for our kids because they don't know it all. But if you're an adult, and a lot of times, we got this codependent nature. We need to be needed, and you can't help nobody, right? So I love y'all. God bless you. Hopefully you will go on this peace journey. This is tomorrow will be the last day of the No Strife Challenge, and I'm praying for you. I'm so thankful for my channel, just being able to talk and help somebody. Wherever this video may reach you, be encouraged. But you gotta go on a peace journey at some time so you can be okay. Because if you're not okay as a husband, as a brother, a sister, a wife, a co-worker, you can't help nobody else. If you're not taking out some time, and I'm talking about things besides thank you so much, Simple Living. Thank you. And I'm talking about things besides what do I want to say? Self-medicating. This world want to get us so high. We got the opioid crisis because we don't want to feel anything. And in order to do so, your body even says when you're in pain, that means there's a problem. That means you need to address that pain. Stump your foot, hit your knee. You're going to forget about everything you're doing, and you're going to be like, oh my God. Like if you hit your foot or something. Well, when you have issues with your mind, you got to stop. Anxiety on 10. Depression on 10. Argumentative, violent. You in a domestic violence issue. You don't know how to get out. Why are you there? Or if you're in a domestic and if you're the abuser, what's going on? You don't want to do it, but you're seeing your daddy do it. And he's seeing you gotta break the cycle. And it starts with minding your mental health. You gotta be at peace. And I did a live on Facebook, and I said, what do you want? Do you want closure, or do you want peace? Let me tell you something about closure, and it's not bad. That's not a bad thing. But sometimes we won't get closure. Because a person who traumatized us is 6 feet under. Or the person who traumatized us or offended us or did something crazy to us is never going to apologize. But if you somehow find peace within your soul that says, God knows the way that I take, and if he allowed me to go through it, he's going to allow me to get through it. Right? I thought about the story of Job. If you pay attention to, I never knew this, but it's a scripture that he says, what he most feared happened to him. Okay? Thinking what he feared. And some of us live in fear. We can't move ahead because we're afraid to step out on faith, because we're afraid to step out on faith, so we won't step forward. We won't try anything new because we're afraid of failure. You got to move. And you can't allow negative thinking, stinking thinking to influence your decisions. It's a journey. So what we did the first day, we detoxed from strife. Like I said, we didn't argue with anybody, didn't complain. You couldn't cuss nobody out. And a lot of times, you know, these trolls come on my channel. I couldn't talk about nobody and say your mama. I couldn't do nothing. So that's why I wasn't going live like I normally would, because I was like, oh, no strife. People can trigger you. The news can trigger you. Sometimes you gotta cut it off. Sometimes you gotta cut the phone down. What are you doing to manage your mental health? What are you feeding it? Just like your body needs help or food, your mind needs food as well. All right. So I love y'all. Let me get out of here. Happy Friday. No strife. Hit the like button. Like and subscribe to Unchurched Talk with the T. I try to share something, like I said, to encourage you. Simple Living, you said some may not get anxiety because their hormones, some may get anxiety because their hormones may be off. Fear holds people back. Yes. Go outside, do some gardening, very relaxing, and you will and you get your vitamin D. Ooh, yes. Yes, Simple Living. I'm telling you, let me tell you, you must have read my mind. Or because yesterday I went outside and I walked, okay? I felt so good. I was like, oh my God, just working on this journey, right? Things like that. What are you doing? Are you being proactive in terms of your health? Are you going to the doctor? In order to be at peace with something, you got to know what's going on. You got to know what's going on, right? Fear only holds people back, right? Because fear and faith can't occupy the same room, so you're going to have to pick one. Either you're going to step out on faith and believe God and have faith that you can do it, or you can't. Powerful comment. Thank you so much for your comment. Anybody else have anything to say? Thank you for popping on. Hopefully this video, if you catch the replay, that it encourages you. I love you, and so do God. And I will see you guys on the next video to Unchurched Talk with the T. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.